Welcome to a new Q&A. Now, in today's Q&A, we've got a few really great questions that we're getting into to help you guys take your trading to the next level, to level up your mindset. We're also going to be touching on non-trading mindset related questions, so you're going to get a lot of value in your general life as well. Now, before we get into the Q&A, I'm going to ask you guys, if you guys get value from this particular video or any of my other videos that I put out, to make sure you subscribe, turn the notification bell on. That gives me a lot of great feedback that you guys are enjoying these videos, and I'm going to just continue to push them out. Also, if you know this video is going to help anybody in your circle, in your network, I'm going to encourage you guys to send this video out to them. It could very well be something that influences them positively to help progress in their journey. And also, I'm going to encourage you guys to check out the description below. I've got a lot of great value products and services in there to help with your trading mindset and also your mindset in general life to really help you transform either your trading, your business, or just yourself and level up in all areas of your life. So without further ado, let's get into the few questions we have today. The first one I have here is, I'm going to read it out. Pat, you are changing my whole outlook on the markets and life in general. I'm glad. I'm only 19 and I'm more focused on my mindset and technicals, as it's something I can easily learn. Great. I created a routine and the plan that I've followed and I've been consistently profitable on a demo for the past 6 months. Okay. When do you know when you're ready to take the next step? I keep having doubts because I've only traded for a year, but I have learned things much faster than the average trader. Okay. Let me pick this apart and offer some value on 3 points in particular. The first one is to just answer the question. I created a routine and a plan that I've followed and have been consistently profitable on a demo for the past 6 months. When do you know it's ready to take that next step? Okay. Now, the beauty of getting started or taking the next step in this particular question is that, at least I'm going to bring this to me and I'm going to talk about a personal example I had. Coming out and putting these YouTube videos out. There was a level of hesitation behind putting the YouTube videos out, but I, at the end of the day, came to this conclusion. First and foremost, if I was as good as I thought I was in my head, which is never the case, but if I was as good as I thought I was in my own head, you guys would get a lot of value from these YouTube videos. So it's wise for me to go off and start doing the YouTube videos. But if I wasn't quite as good as I thought I was in my head, I'd get feedback from you guys and girls out there to then take that on board and make necessary refinements for me to get to the point where I'd love to get to. So in my perception, what I've seen in my life, and most recently with coming out and doing these YouTube videos, is the beauty of getting started. Because if you get started, you're either going to succeed because you're as good as you initially think, or you're going to get the necessary feedback to make refinements to then get to the point where you're as good as you think. So sitting down and thinking over, should I do this, should I not do it? Don't spend too much time wasting on that. Go forward and get it done. Just start trading life. That would be my suggestion, because you're either going to really start to build consistency on a live account, or you're going to get the necessary refinement from the market and the feedback from the market to make adjustments to your trading plan. In my perception, both win-win scenarios. There's also another thing that's popped into my head. Naval Ravikant has a beautiful book or a beautiful podcast where he explains that the downside in societies nowadays is extremely low. If we do go off and fail in society, the repercussions or the risks are very, very low, but the rewards and the upsides are significant. So I'm a really big promoter of just getting started, because you're going to get the necessary feedback along the way anyway to make refinements. So that would be the first part to your question. The second part here is, I keep having doubts because I've only traded for a year, but I've learned things much faster than the average trader. So the second thing I would love to pick apart here is, your brain is designed to have doubts, anxieties, fears, worries, stresses, anything like that, all these things we label negative emotions, if you're pursuing a fantasy. So if you have an unrealistic expectation on yourself that if you do go live, you have to be profitable, you have to make profit, you have to only be winning, That's an unrealistic expectation you have on yourself, and your brain, your own BS meter within yourself, your internal thermostat's going to know that's BS, and it's going to have the anxieties, the fears there to counterbalance that. So the anxiety is feedback telling you you're having a little bit of a fantasy in your head that needs to be addressed. So I'd be going in there and identifying what's the one-sided fantasy you're holding on to yourself, and then recognizing that the opposite of that, the losing, the loss of money, the drawdowns, the failure that we're labeling failure, these are all necessary and there are advantages to these particular things. So keep in mind that those anxieties, they're a feedback telling you you're pursuing a fantasy. Go and address that, balance the equation, balance your expectations on yourself and on the market, and those anxieties will dissipate. Because now you have a balanced two-sided view on yourself. You realize that you're going to be both a winner and a loser as a consistently profitable trader. You're going to have both in your life, but both are essential for maximum growth. I talk a lot about this in my videos, and then I encourage you guys to check out the maximum growth video I've put out, because that talks about maximum growth and evolution happens on the border of the two polarities, the positive and the negative, the win and the loss. If you have an expectation in yourself, you're always going to be the positive, you're going to have the unrealistic expectations, you're going to have the anxieties and fears there, guiding you to realize that, you need to balance your perception on yourself. Okay? And the final thing here is I've learned things much faster than the average trader. The final thing I want to pick apart here with this question is don't compare yourself to anybody else. At the end of the day, you have a unique set of priorities, and so does every other human being out there. If you're constantly comparing yourself to other people and thinking you're better or worse than other people, it's the wrong place to be focusing your energies. Ultimately, the wisest or the smartest thing to do is to compare what you do on a daily basis to what is most important to you. So if you have a goal to be a consistently profitable trader, have a look at the action steps you want to do on a daily basis and compare that at the end of the day. Does that match up with my overall goal? But don't worry too much about other people, what they're doing. It may be smart to go in there and get feedback and learn from some people, but ultimately you want to focus on what's your objective and what's the highest priority action I can be doing today to help me get to that objective. And there's a beautiful saying that I love that sort of runs through my head on a daily basis, and that's take no credit, deal no blame, just keep focused and achieve fame. When you truly realize that, I don't want to take credit because that distracts me from my mission, distracts me from my goals. I don't want to deal blame because that distracts me from my goals. I just want to keep focused on what's truly most important to me right now. You build some serious momentum and you accomplish your goals. So I hope that answers your question. First and foremost, what I'd advise is go in there and balance your perception towards yourself. Recognize that when you're trading live, you're going to have wins and you're going to have losses. And you're going to have strings of consistency, you're also going to have strings of inconsistency. I've seen this with the best traders I've worked with. And balance your expectations on yourself. The anxieties and stresses will go away, and then start trading live. You get necessary feedback from the market to make refinements, and that's just the ongoing process. It's the ongoing journey, and there's getting started is the first step in that. Okay, hope that helps. The second question I have here is, hi Pat, I'm taking FTMO now. However, I noticed that I always sell early and thus missing the good move of the price. It happens to me quite a while. It's been happening to me for quite a while now. Maybe because of fear of loss. Even though I have good risk management in place, I still exit early. I don't know why. Advice is greatly appreciated. Okay, so the challenge here is selling early, missing the good move. Okay, so selling early, missing the move, fear of loss. Okay, good. So selling early, there could be certain things in there that you fear of loss. That could be one. Also, something that's very common going for the funding targets and the funding things is that a lot of traders go away from their processes because of the fantasies they're pursuing, the fantasies they think that funding account's going to give them. And I see a lot of traders that have funding way up on a pedestal, and they go in there and all of a sudden, even though they're not trading additional money yet, all of a sudden there's a lot more stress in them. They're going away from their processes. They're making irrational, emotional decisions as opposed to sticking to their trading plan. So first and foremost would be going in there and balancing your perception towards the funding and recognizing that the funding has both sides to it. It's going to bring you advantages. It's also going to bring you risks. And the quicker you go in there and see that it's going to have both advantage and disadvantage, and you're going to both have benefit from the funding, you're also going to have risks associated with that funding. The moment you balance your perception towards that, take it off the pedestal, you level yourself with it, all of a sudden you give yourself permission to stick to your processes and stop making irrational, emotional decisions. That would be first and foremost what I would advise, because it sounds like from the message that it's the funding challenge that's having an influence on your decision making, which is an indication to me that you have some fantasy projected onto the funding. Because remember, we fear losing that which we're infatuated with. We don't fear losing things we resent. We fear losing things we're infatuated with. We fear losing the fantasies that we set. So if you go in there and ground yourself and ground the funding, you realize that it has two sides to it. A lot of those stresses, a lot of those irrational, emotional decisions are going to go away, and you give yourself permission to stick to your plan. So that would be step numero uno that I would advise. And you know what? That's probably going to go a long way. That's probably going to go a long way because you fear losing that which you're infatuated with. So there are two basic distresses. All your distresses in life will boil down to these two basic distresses. It's the fear of loss of that which you seek, and the fear of gain of that which you're trying to avoid. It's a prehistoric animalistic thing that's built into us because our ancestors thousands of years ago feared gaining the predator, they feared gaining that which they were trying to avoid, and they feared losing prey, food. They feared losing that which that they were trying to seek. It's no different for us nowadays. You fear the loss of the fantasies, the infatuation, all those types of things, and that makes us go away from our processes into fear and greed dynamics, emotional decision making, which is where the exiting early would probably be stemming from. So go in there and ground the funding, realize that there's nothing to seek there, recognize that it's going to have both advantage and drawback, and balance your perception towards it, and a lot of those emotional, irrational decisions will go away or give yourself permission to stick to your plan. Okay, thank you for that question. Very great. Now, the last question here. Okay, I'll probably add some context to this question as well. Those daily/weekly goals set a long time ago involving high priority actions. They are just habits now. Did you ever get stuck with setting new trading related goals when most are high priority actions that are now habits? Okay, so you guys would know that I'm a huge promoter of identifying the highest priority actions you can be doing on a daily basis to help you progress towards your goals. The question comes around the fact that there are some high priority actions, like for example, forecasting or marking up your charts or doing some level of review, maybe even doing some back testing, that are now habitual. They're habits now. They just become habits. They're no longer necessarily classified as high priority actions helping you progress towards a goal in particular, but they're more just maintenance habits. So my advice in this type of situation, if you do find yourself stuck in that situation, obviously the smart thing to do would be to maintain those habits of the tasks you perceive you need to do on a daily basis to maintain your results in your trading. But then I would also encourage every so often, every 3 months or so, go in there and revisit what's my highest priority goal with my trading, and then what's the highest challenge or the biggest challenge or problem I'm experiencing in my trading right now. Identify where you want to get to, identify what's stopping you from doing that, and that will give you a really great indication of what to focus on next. I always focus on those two dynamics when I'm working with clients. Where do you want to go? And I guess what's stopping you from doing that? What are the challenges you're experiencing now that are stopping you from getting to that particular place? And then that will shed light on a smart thing to address next in your trading. And then you can deconstruct that particular thing. Maybe you want to go in there and refine your entries, for example. And you want to refine the accuracy of your entries. This is an example. Then you would then go in there and set what's the highest priority action I can be doing right now to build momentum to accomplish that goal of refining my entries. You'll also be doing the maintenance habits as well, but you also have very specific high priority actions that you're working to accomplish that goal. And what I found in my journey, what I've seen with clients as well, is that you're going to have a mix. You're going to have a mix of habits that you're maintaining. You're doing your forecasting, you're doing your review to keep maintaining your results. But then maybe every 3 months, you're going to have a new high priority target or a high priority goal in your trading that you really want to address to take your trading to the next level. And that's where you then go in and break down the high priority actions. It's probably not all that smart to continuously refine. There may be certain times in your trading where you give yourself permission for your edge to play out. But there's also times when within your trading that it's smart to go in there and really hold yourself accountable and find what's the next piece to the puzzle to help me grow as a trader. And I think you're going to oscillate between both. You're going to have more of a relaxed approach in your trading where you just go off and execute on the habitual habits that maintain your results. And then you'll have moments of sprint, or you have moments of hunt, whatever you want to call it, where you're going in there and identifying what's the next biggest challenge in my trading, what's the highest priority action I can do every single day to help me overcome that particular challenge. And I think that's really smart, having a mix of both, because without that challenge there, you don't grow. Society evolves from creating new problems from old solutions and new solutions to old problems. And it's exactly the same with your trading. Your trading evolves and grows from creating new problems from old solutions and new solutions to old problems. It's the path of evolution. And I think every trader is going to have that, as well as just maintenance habits they do on a daily basis. Both are essential. So that's the little explanation on that. And I think that would resonate with some of you guys out there, especially some of you more advanced guys and girls who may be feeling that, I'm just doing my habits every day. Doesn't really feel like I'm growing. I would be going in there. Where's the next target? Where am I going next? Well, maybe it's a few more funding accounts. Maybe it's growing an overall fund. Maybe it's doing some level of philanthropy or providing back. Maybe it's some level of coaching. And then going in there, what's the highest priority challenge that's stopping me from accomplishing that goal? What's holding me back? Go in and address that and really put in the action steps that you can execute on a daily basis to help build momentum to accomplishing that overall goal. So hopefully that's insightful and you guys got one or two things from that in this overall Q&A. Again, if you guys have questions pop up throughout the week, send them through. Sometimes I just respond really quickly. If they're simple enough questions, I'll just respond over text. But if they're a little bit more in depth and there's a bigger explanation to it, I'll put it in the Q&A at the end of the week. So I hope you guys had an incredible week and have an incredible week. And I'll speak to you guys very soon.